Hi, welcome to this lesson. So in this lesson, I will show you how to load data in Databricks using a programmatical interface. Previously we used the UI, user interface, just to drag and drop the files to Databricks canvas and then use the UI through tables to load this. But this is not pretty much the standard way to do things. This is maybe for experimentation or quick, stuff that you want to do, POCs and things like that. In real world, data will be stored on the storage, cloud storage, and then you want Databricks to process this data. Data will be on the storage for various reasons. Could be the source application itself have generated vast amount of data and just placed it on the storage, or it could be the application is just you have the data on their own place, but then there is another application like a data integration tool or ETL or ELT tool that capture the data and put it in the storage. In all ways, Databricks have the data in the storage, right? And then we're going to use Databricks to load the data programmatically and start processing it. So to do that, what we're going to do is you go to your data tab here and click create table, right? Then we're going to just put the data on the storage. This is the step that should be have done by someone else, like another application, or the source application automatically emitted the data. We're going to click here. We're going to place the two files that we got from the Titanic dataset, the test and train. We're going to upload them. So we have them now uploaded to slash file store slash table slash train dash one.csv and slash file store slash table slash test dash one.csv. The two files here. Previously, we used the create table using UI. We're not going to do that, right? What we're going to do is create table in a notebook. So click here. And what is going to happen is Databricks will generate you a notebook that can load the data programmatically for you. And this is really handy because all you need to do here is just run the code in order to load the data. I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. So if you look at this shum hello overview stuff and then the code here, file location, I think here it used the test. Let's just use the train dash one.csv and then infer schema. Yes, we want to infer the schema, so we're going to make this true. It gives you some option that you can actually modify to suit your requirements. First row is a header. We're going to make yes true. Delimiter is a comma. And then this is the Spark code that actually load the data from the storage. Table name, this is if you want to create the table. So let's first run this cell. So shift and enter again. Let's see what will happen. Now, automatically the cluster here is assigned. I already started the cluster before the lesson, so you have the cluster ready and waiting. Now, the code will load the data from this location, load it in a data frame, and display it on the screen. And that's exactly what happened here. And it's really, really fast. So see, our file has been loaded. Now, remember, data frame is a table in memory, right? It's not yet a table. It's not a table in a database. It's just a table in memory. If you shut down the cluster, this data is gone. So let's see how we can save it as a table, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to actually close these two cells here. This is the table name. So I'm going to call it train underscore bronze. Remember, this is the bronze because this is the data as is from the source system. It's untouched, so we call it the bronze there. So we're going to say data frame.write format bar k. Let's make it delta. Dot save as table, and we give it the table name. Also, let's first, okay, one step before that, let's create the database. Remember, we did this in the previous time, but let's create a database. Now, remember, this code is this notebook is a Python notebook. We want to create a database, ideally using SQL. So let's write a SQL code. There's two ways you can do that. You go here to Python, right, and change the cell to something else. But I prefer the magic command. So %SQL, and you'll see when you enter, it become an SQL. So you can write SQL. So I think we already have the database there. It's called Titanic. So what we're going to do is just drop this database, drop database Titanic, right? Let's see if it runs. I think it will fail because it has tables, but let's see. Shift and enter. Yeah, it says because it contains tables, so we're gonna do cascade. Drop database Titanic cascade. Like drop everything inside the database itself. So you don't have like to go through one table by one table. Now we drop the database. Let's then create database Titanic. Okay, so because it's already dropped, so drop database Titanic if exists. So if this command runs again, it doesn't fail. If exists. You don't have to, like, the command should fail every single time. Oh, sorry. Drop database if exists. Right. Drop database if exists, Titanic cascade. So this command will not fail if it exists. Create database. Now, remember, every single time we need to use the SQL, we have to put the prefix database.table name, database.table name. If everything you're going to do is inside one database, so emitter use database, so use Titanic. So we don't have to write table Titanic every single time we wanted to refer to a table. So you run again, shift and enter. So all the sequence commands next will assume that the database we're working against is Titanic. Okay. Now, this is the code you write to save the table as a table. So we're gonna data frame.write.format delta. You can actually do it as a one step. So we're gonna remove this. Data frame.write.save as table. This is the table name, and then I use tab, so you can use mood equal overwrite. So we're gonna overwrite the data. You can also put format equal delta. And let's run this code. So this table will be saved inside. Let's actually see which database it will use. I think it should use the Titanic, but let's see if it doesn't. We'll see data here. Yes. So Titanic now has a train database. Let's actually write a code. Percent SQL. Again, select asterisk from train. Now I press tab, train bronze, it shows up because now it has the default database already there, ready for us. So now we have a table, not just a data frame in memory, we have a table that actually loaded the data towards. And then you can use SQL to load the data. So this is the first step. We just created, let's actually call it Titanic underscore bronze. So we created the Titanic bronze layer, the first layer, loading the data from the source system into a bronze table called Titanic, right? So in the next lesson, I'm going to show you the next step, which is moving this data to the silver layer and so on. So thank you and see you in the next lesson.